So from a couple of years on, things are real horrible here in New York, all over.
You're dealing with a lot of people that are maniacs today.
Dealing with an individual who's very basic, who only knows two things, rip off or be ripped off.
Many of those who make good by being bad are nowhere to be seen these days.
I'd be afraid. Of course I'd be afraid. He's a sick guy. He'd kill any time.
Yeah, but listen.
There isn't anything on earth that I will hide from or back up from.
People seem not to understand the close relationship between organized crime and street crime. And certainly in dealing with street crime in his area or any other kind of crime, the uniform patrol.
Presenzano, shot 4 times, his throat cut. Presenzano was allegedly connected.
Hello, everybody. I want to say, first of all, I apologize for a little technical difficulties. Very sorry. But I'm glad that some of you stayed. I know we might have lost a couple of you. I think a bunch of you will be back soon. I want to say thank you for joining NYC Crime Spot. You guys know me, Brett. Tonight we're doing a live stream with Mr. Pete the Pick, Lafroscia. For those of you who don't know him, of course, he's been on my channel a number of times. We're doing a few episodes into a little thing we're doing where we talk about various subjects, of course, about Pete's life, of course, about his time with the Roy DeMeo crew, of course, him getting indicted with the Roy DeMeo crew. For those of you who are not familiar with Pete, you will be able to ask Pete some questions tonight live. He will be receiving them live. For those of you here for the first time, maybe you don't know who Pete Lafroscia is, we'll talk about that. In Pete's life, as he's spoken about, he has spent up to 22 years in prison, and we're going to get into some of that. We're going to get into his time with the Roy DeMeo crew. Of course, if you have read Murder Machine, Pete is 50% fan of that book. He says 50% of that book is true. You guys might want to ask him questions about that book when he arrives on the screen in just a moment. Of course, he is a character in the book, this book right here. You guys can see his mugshot right there next to his best friend, Veto Arena. We're gonna talk about that. He's already laughing backstage. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Mr. Peter Lafroscia. I want everybody to be respectful. If you guys want to ask Pete a question, think about the question that you're going to be asking him, and let's have a good time. So let's get Pete onto the screen. Mr. Lafroscia, how are you tonight?
I'm doing all right.
Doing all right?
I'm here for
just all right. Come on.
I'm doing a lot better. I can see you, and this is live, and I'm a little nervous. Don't get me wrong, everybody, but I'll do my best to answer whatever I can, if I can, tonight.
Very good. Thank you so much, Pete. Listen, I appreciate you doing this, Pete. I know that's hard for you to even do these pre-records with me, to be talking about a lot of the stuff. Of course, one of the things with you, Pete, is that you have done your prison time. You knew a lot of individuals involved in that life. You have never cooperated. You have never told on anybody to get out of anything. So many guys in your position, Pete, they hold that with them for the rest of their lives, and they never want to talk, and they don't want to share anything. And to me, that's sad. But Pete, can you explain to us in the audience before we get into this, what compels you to speak and to share your life story and to talk about some of these infamous individuals that you've been around in your life?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm going to tell what I can. If I don't think I can say it, if you ask me a question and I don't think I can answer it, I'll tell you I'm sorry, but I can't. I'll take the fifth. That's what I'll do. Other than that, listen, people should know more about what that book is, because a lot of that book is bullshit. They accused a lot of people of things they didn't do, especially my friends Anthony and Joey. They were accused of things that should never been accused of. But because they got labeled the Gemini twins, they just put everything they could on them. And they shouldn't have. And I don't know. You know what it is? It was like, Rico. Rico's like this. You take a pot of spaghetti, you throw it on a wall. I guess someone's going to stick,
Right.
And that's just what that was, was I mean, they were so over to get us. It was unbelievable. And you'll know that by some of the stories I tell you when they picked me up, they even forgot where they got me from, where I was. But, you know, that's later on. I guess when Brett does the questioning, I'll do the answering.
Yeah,
I hope this call could hear me.
No, I can hear you. Yeah, listen, you might sound a little low, but you sound to me extremely clear. So if anybody's having volume issues on your side, we had a little technical difficulties. Just raise up your TV. I notice often that sometimes when I listen to these things on an iPad or a phone, the volume sounds better than the TV for whatever reason. If you look this up, there is an actual science to this. For some reason with the new TVs, there's an issue with volume transfer. I get this on other YouTube channels. But Pete, you sound very clear. You sound great. And something that you just said, you said Murder Machine. You once told me that Murder Machine is only about 50% true. You want to further elaborate on that? And then I already have a bunch of questions coming in. So,
well, they were so overkill, the government, that they just elaborated on things that never even happened. I'm going to use me for instance, okay? They came and got me from Shelby County Jail, Tennessee, brought me back to New York to stand trial, right? Now, while we going through this trial, all these special agents that got up there kept saying, I was here, there, they had pictures of me, all that, right? And meanwhile, they forgot that I was in federal prison. So at the end of this trial, before closing statements, my lawyer stood up and told the judge, he says, Your Honor, there's some kind of mistake here. And so he asked him what it was. And he told him that all these agents that got up there and said this and that about me being here and there with pictures is not true. So he said, What do you mean it's not true? He says, My client was in federal prison in Memphis, Tennessee. As a matter of fact, the organized crime guys came and got him from there, brought him back. Okay? So all the time that they said I was out in the streets doing this wasn't true. So now the judge is thinking about this, right? He's saying, well, he told prosecutor Walter Mack, he told him, he said, Mack, you got till tomorrow to prove to me that Mr. Lafroscia was on the streets. Mack says, no problem, Your Honor. The next day he comes in shaking his head. The judge says, what's up, Mack? He says, Your Honor, we made an erroneous mistake. Now, I didn't know what the hell erroneous meant. I asked my lawyer, what's going on with that? He says, it means he made a bad mistake. I said, okay. He says, Mr. Lafroscia was in federal prison. I says, So now the judge says, well, what are we going to do about this? They're thinking. So I raised my hand, I want to speak up. I said, Your Honor, just tell him where I was. Oh, we can't do that. He says, it'll take your image. I said, Your Honor, during this whole trial, you got me killing people, chopping them up and eating pizza and hot dogs. How could you take my image a little more? He says, well, we'll figure something out. So the bottom line was they had to tell the jury that it couldn't have been me. I was out of the country. You know what that did? When the jury came back in and my lawyer polled them, they said, why did you, convict Pete of this and this? They said, well, he's been with the crew a long time. And even if he's out of the country, how do we know he wasn't slipping in and out? What can I do? I said, listen, I know. And when I said to the lawyer, I said, listen, there was no way the judge was going to let you off the hook all the way. You know, I mean, it was too gruesome a case. He says, as a matter of fact, he went and said, we were the worst ghouls he ever met. I said, holy shit. Anyhow, so when I say it's 50-50, that's what I'm saying. You know, they made a lot of mistakes. They accused people of a lot of things, especially my good friends Anthony and Joey. They accused them of things they never even knew about or did. But that's what they had to do. Look, I tell you. And, you got to think about what they gave to the witnesses that testified against him. They gave Veto Arena. He was in Otisville, New York, as a prime witness. What happens? He's got his boyfriend, Joey something, I forget his name, over in Texas for a murder, right? And he's just, they brought that son of a bitch always to New York, put him in Otisville, put him in the same cell with Vito. Gave him a barber chair. I mean, what the frig, man? They would have did anything to make him lie. And he lied on everybody, just about, So, I call that pillow talking that he got his pillow a little fucked up there. But anyhow, you know what's good about Vito? When I came home, when I went to meet him, I didn't like this guy from Jump Street. You know what I mean? I just had a bad feeling about him. You come home, you're very alert to certain situations. So when he got on the stand, he says, I can't say much about Pete Lafroscia because he never would kiss me like the other guys on the cheek. He would never shake my hand. And And he's damn right. That is one guy that should not have been around. But anyhow, that's where I'm going to leave that. Buddy, you talking? I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So I want to get into two things you just mentioned. Veto Arena. Of course, you never liked him. You stayed away from him. You've said before that you told Roy DeMeo that you're not going out and stealing cars with him, no matter what.
Definitely not.
And
Only one of us would come home.
What was that?
Only one of us. Listen, this guy supposedly, I wasn't there, made his bones by shooting one of his friends in the back.
Right.
Okay, he shot him in the back, right? From what I understand, the gun was fired. The guy turned around and said, "What are you doing?" He shot him again. Next bullet was okay. He went down. So he asked him again, "What are you doing?" This is a story I heard. No, I can't. The guy that told me the story is no longer with us.
Right.
Well, he said to him, he walked up to him, right? Put the gun in his mouth, shot again. It was another dud. From what I understand, the guy said all the smoke was coming out of his mouth. Finally, they killed him, okay? Yep. And he did all this to steal his money that was in his apartment, and he had a Porsche. It was beautiful. They stole that, him and Richie.
Richie Denome.
Right. And to me, if that's how you make your bones, I never want to be
right
part of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I said, you don't kill your friend like that in the back just to rob him like that. So I told him, I said, listen, man, that don't count in my book. So you can tell me whatever you want. Come shit, push comes to shove. I don't think this guy will stand up to anything. And sure as shit, he didn't. Anyhow, what else did you want to know, Brett? I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say before that you said something before, and it's funny how people hear stories and they kind of take on a life of their own. So speaking of Veto Arena, you said something about the judges telling you that they're eating pizza and hot and cutting bodies up. So that story actually comes from, I'm sure you know, that comes from Veto Arena. He testified to a homicide of Khalid Dowd and Ronald Falcaro. I know you're familiar with that.
I heard their names, yes.
Yeah, they hit Henry Borelli with the civil rights thing. We've spoken about that before.
Correct.
And he said that when they were done with that homicide, Roy DeMeo told Vito and Henry to go get some pizza and hot dogs. So forever in infamy, Roy DeMeo crew is known. Oh, they like to cut bodies up while they were eating pizza. So that's kind of something that is stuck, and people repeat that daily, weekly, all the time. People are talking about that. But that story just comes from Veto Arena saying that. Now, that could be true that Roy said, "Oh, go get us something to eat and come back." But it's just funny that you mentioned that, and I just want to make a point, how stories take on a life of their own, and the lore and the things are built up into the history, based on what people may or may not say, And Veto Arena, somebody asked a question up there. I want to give them, and I'm going to get to your questions, guys. Somebody asked a question up here in reference to Veto, and BX. He's asking essentially, BX. He's his name in the chat. Being that you guys knew that Roy knew that Veto was a homosexual, I guess, how was he able to be respected? Was he still feared, or was Roy just basically interested in just making money? He didn't care that he was gay. What was that dynamic?
I could never understand it. He's gay, right? And some of the things he was doing, so low life. He was like, I can't figure out how he had any respect at all. This guy was sending Joe Scorn, I believe his name was, into doctors and dentists when they would close it. And what they do, they would rob him for his drugs and shit. Yeah. Come on, man. You know what I mean? That's not the guys I stood with. None of these guys were here before I went away. They were all here when I came back, and every one of them turned out to be shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as far as the pizza and shit goes and stuff like that, all the people that were involved in that, cutting up and doing that, are no longer with us. And some people got dragged into that just because they became infamous in their name and shit. They dragged them right along down the tubes. Now, I don't know how you can believe a guy like Vito when he talks. He talks about Tom Selleck playing his part and all. This guy was a blimp. I'm sure if you look at the book, you'll see what he looks like, or Brett can put a picture of him.
Yeah.
He's just saying things. I understand that. Just phenomenal. I just can't explain how, but the government will use anything and everyone to get what they want. Same as they did with John, with Sammy the Bull.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to get to a bunch of other questions, but you speak on Veto Arena, and of course, a lot of informants on that case. As far as some of the legend that's built up about that crew, I'm sure you've heard it all, to the cows come home, of everything that your friends have been accused of. But I want to ask you one thing, Pete, and this is something that I find incredibly fascinating. So you are a car thief. You're very good at what you do, Pete. You end up with the Roy DeMeo crew in the mid 70s, and till you get indicted with everybody. And I put up this picture here before. So that's you. So I don't have the one where Vito's on the stand. I have the one where Willie Kampf is right there. But I mean, that's you right there with Anthony Center, Anthony Nino Gaggi, and Paul Castellano himself. I mean, this is about 2 months before Paul Castellano is murdered. You're literally sitting next to this guy in court. I mean, you're probably wondering why or how, maybe in your own head, you're with the fucking the boss of bosses 2 months before he gets murdered. I got to ask you, tell the chat, like, what is that like, Pete? That's got, even when you look back on it, like, what is it like to sit there with people like that, or maybe to ask yourself, like, wow, what the fuck? How did I get here?
Well, how did I get there? They got there because it started off me being accused of these murders, which I got acquitted of. And they brought me back on trial. One time they said I murdered some of these people. The second time they accused me of dying. They were big players in this whole role with the car thing, right? Which brought this whole thing down. And they just couldn't leave me out of it, I guess. I don't know. Can't think of it.
Right.
But
as far as Castellano, did he say anything to you? Did you say anything to him? Was there any interaction at all?
No, I really didn't say much to Paul because, I really, be honest with you, I never had any good feelings for the guy. You
didn't like him.
He was very, very greedy in his own way. Man. No matter what was going on, he had to have his hand in your pocket. And then look how it turned out. His greediness caused him to get uninvited in his trial. You know what I mean? I mean, how can I say? I'll tell you what. I think I met most of all the people that you could think about that was who's who, from the Pizza Connection guys, from the commission guys. I met most of them, whether it was just there in the holding room with the marshals or anywhere. But, I thought about it. I met the top of the tops. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
well, that's what I'm saying. When you think back, like, do you ever wonder, like, wow, that was kind of interesting?
I say, holy shit, and I'm still here.
Yeah, right. Because you're still here.
Well, God works in strange ways. He's got something he wants me to do before I got to do what I got to do for him. Anyhow.
Right.
I mean, I made a list the other night just kidding around with my girl. Who would I actually beat? That's somebody. The list goes on there for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said, one day we'll get into it now. I'll run down because most of them are out here. Most of them never going to be seen again. I mean, that's mad. Tony Ducks.
Tony Ducks. You met Tony Ducks? Really?
Yeah. When we were going to court every morning, we were in the MCC, man. So we had to go downstairs at 4:30, get dressed, you walk across the tunnel, go back up into the morning. So we're down there one morning, right? And I say hello to him and all that stuff. And this hat come over to tie his shoes because Tony's having time. And Tony had a cane. He started swinging the cane. Don't you touch me. He said, Pete, tie my shoes. But, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Carmine, all of them.
That's funny. There's a famous clip probably around that time, actually, that you're talking about, where Tony Ducks is outside the court and they say, Mr. Corallo, do you have anything to say about anything? He goes, I don't know the first thing about it.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
I don't know the first thing about it. It's a funny clip.
Yeah.
Also, that's interesting. That's interesting. Let me, I want to get to some questions here.
Go ahead.
So let's let and if there's anybody that you want to ask Pete about, I mean, some of the people he was around just from watching some of the interviews. If you have any questions about any individuals, of course, you guys know what not to ask. I mean, I don't think I have to tell you that.
And I got to remember that I was away for 22 years. So a lot of stuff that you can ask me, I'll answer it, but it's going to be like hearsay. I heard it from somebody that I was close to.
Of course.
Okay, so you got to go from there.
Right. So we have a guy who actually is here who I've spoken to before. He's a very cool guy. He actually grew up and his family knew Harvey Rosenberg, so he knew him growing up. And he goes by the name Pete Arthur, but he wants to know this. Did you know the Los Guandro family? They lived up the block from Harvey on East 52nd Street. They were my next door neighbors. They owned an ice and soda company on Utica Avenue.
Okay. First of all, Harvey lived on 59th Street between Ellen. Okay. I might have known. I don't know them by that name. What did they own?
The Los Guandros. They owned an ice and soda company on Utica Ave.
Yeah.
Avenue L.
I've been in there. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Can't say much about it because I was only in there to buy soda and whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
I never, you know.
All right. So let's see. So Andy Pinehurst, he wants to know about what you can tell me about the Andre Katz situation. Now, you once told me that you were present when Harvey got shot. Is that true?
Yes, I was. You know, I was there at the time he got shot. What happened was, it seems like Harvey was doing business with him with stolen cars, right?
Right.
And he had a shop very best for foreign autos. And it seems like he got in trouble for something. And instead of, you know, trying to defend himself when he got in trouble, he told him about, you know, his car ring. Okay. This he told him about Harvey, you know, stealing cars. And word got back to Harvey somehow. And he went there, right? And they started fighting. And somehow Harvey got his ear to come off. Not sure. I told Harvey when he told me, I said, Harvey, not for nothing, Chris. This kid's very vain. He was very, very vain with the girls at the clubs. I says, this kid's not going to forget that because every time he looks in the mirror, every morning and every night, he's going to look at that. He's going to freak out. Don't worry about it. He can do shit. I'm at this apartment at Harvey, right upstairs and downstairs, a garage up downstairs, upstairs. And it's across the street from this old high school. And there's a big field right behind the high school, right, facing Harvey's apartment. I'm upstairs. He says, I'm going downstairs to get my Corvette. I said, okay. He went downstairs. He opened the garage door. From what I understand, he told me this himself because he survived. He put his hand on his car door to open it. And he felt a shot, but it wasn't a shot. He got shot in his hand. Okay. Then he got shot. I think it was in his chest, what he told me. He remembered that. Knocked up against the wall, right? And he freaked out. When he was up against the wall, he got shot again in his jaw. He ran towards the back of the house to get back in the house, and he got shot a couple more times. The only thing that saved this kid was this guy used full metal jacket bullets. They went right through him. If he would have used anything else, he would have been dead. Now, the cops came and everything. They asked him who did it and all that shit. And he says he didn't know. No bullshit, right? Somehow, they got the license plates of the car that pulled away, okay? And Harvey found out, you know, he realized who it was. And whatever happened after that, happened after that. You know, I get the other kid met his demise. Harvey must have finished what he started. What can I say? You know, it's a terrible story from what I understand. But that's that, you know. I can't hear you again. Right?
Muting myself. I'm sorry because I don't want to make noise. I think everyone knows what happens after that, people. You said something very interesting that I don't even think is covered in Murder Machine. Not that, you know, because I have to say Murder Machine, Pete, because for a lot of people, that's like the Bible for the information on the crew. And, you know, it is what it is. I can't, there's really nothing you can do about that. But you said that Harvey disfigured him somehow. It did something to Andre Katz's ear.
Yes.
So he screwed up his ear or ripped some of it off?
I remember. I think he took it off almost just about.
He took his ear off just about, or a piece of his ear off or something?
A big piece, yeah.
A big piece of his ear off, really? Yeah. And then, wow. So after that happened, you told Harvey.
I told him, you know, what are you doing, man? You know this kid how vain he is. This is going to be retaliation. Yeah, he can do shit. He says, I said, listen to me, man. This kid is so vain. You got to remember, man, every time. I said, you could have did it anywhere else on his body, hurt him. But when you did that, every morning he gets up, he looks at that. Every night he goes to sleep, he sees that. It's going to build up at him till he just snaps. And that's the truth. Really? You know, I mean, I would. Anybody would. You know, want to get even with that. So he got even. And the other guy kept going back and forth. Who get more even? And now there's no more evens because everybody's where they belong.
Right. Yeah, and I think everybody kind of knows what happened to Andre Katz after that. He was missing more than his year after that, from what we
Yeah.
know.
Well, let's say he broke up. He went to pieces. You know what I mean? From what I understand, it's understanding. I'm not like I said. A lot of things I'm saying is probably I didn't see it, I didn't do it, but I heard stories. You know, you
Right.
can't help but hear stories. You know about certain things. So, you know,
Yeah. Let me go back to this photo real quick, Pete, because I know that you met Harvey in your teenage years, and you guys were kind of like early stolen car partners.
yeah.
Let me ask you something about this photo of Harvey. I want to ask you, like, what's with the haircut? Did he kind of like dye his hair blonde, or did he have blondish hair at some point? What's with the look? I know you told me that girls kind of harassed him and bullied him.
Yeah.
Did he have like an odd look, an odd hair? Like what was going on in
Yeah,
that high school
it was
photo?
kind of an odd look, you know, until he later on, until he cut it and did all that. But back in the school days, yeah, he had an odd look, you know. He looked like how can I say, like almost like a normal kid, you know. I mean, not that I seen him wear the hair back like that. That was his style,
Right.
and that was his way he did it, and that was Harvey, you know. But like you said, you know, he got bullied a lot by girls, by everybody. Everybody wanted to take his shit because he knew how to get shit. You know what I mean? Car parts. He was good at that. So
He's good at
everybody,
stealing cars.
instead of buying them from him, if they thought they could take them, they did, and they did.
Right.
You know, eventually he got out of that, grew out of that.
Right. All right. Let me see if we can move on from Harvey. Let me see if there's any other good questions here. Keep them coming, guys. I will. All right. So IH Farmer. What was Roy? Was Roy always business? Could you break his balls and carry on with him, or did you, or were you kind of on the edge around Roy? What was that like? Was there like a lull where he was cool, or was it always kind of edgy?
I'll tell you, you can break his balls up to a point, you know, and then you can tell when to stop when he look at you like you're a piece of sausage. So it's oh shit. But no, he was around them guys, me, whatever. He was pretty loose, you know. He was a powerful guy. Let me tell you a story about Roy. Little story. I got indicted for double homicide, right, for hijacking and whatever on the cigarette truck. And they brought me to Long Island. I think it was in Suffolk County, right? And my lawyer was John Sutter. He's a pretty famous lawyer. He's the one that defended that kid from Midnight Express, the hair steal. I mean, they call him a wasp, why he goes Saxon, whatever. But he was up there. So I kept going to this lawyer, right? Roy told me to go to this lawyer. I kept going to him. So I come back one day. Roy said, "What's the matter, Pete?" I says, "Roy, everything I tell this guy, right? He doesn't write nothing down. He just said, okay." I says, "I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean?" He says, "You know what?" I said, "No. You know, he's got a beautiful office. He's got all his sailboats and what shit." I said, "He doesn't sound like he's listening to me." So he said, "Okay, when are you going next?" So I told him. So I'm in there talking. All of a sudden, the door pops open. He's Roy. And Roy, when he said this, he said, "You know who I am?" John went, "Yeah, I know you are." He said, "Let me tell you something. If this kid loses for any other reason than what he's supposed to lose, everybody loses here. You understand me?"
Jeez.
The next time we went to court, boom, I got it dismissed, double jeopardy. But I really didn't have nothing to do with it. But this son of a bitch, we found out later, was trading me to the prosecutor out there, Dennis Dillon, for one of those yuppie kids out there that had a lot more money, and he was going to trade me for him to the prosecutor.
Yeah, Dennis Dillon. I've heard of him. Yeah, he's a Long Island prosecutor. Is that correct?
Yeah, badass dude, man.
Yeah. I heard of Dennis Dillon. Yeah.
Changed his whole attitude, John.
Really?
The next time I went to court, to call me and said something to the judge, said something back. He says, "Double jeopardy, dismissed." Boom. I says,
"Wow."
One talking, that's all it took. Imagine that. I wish I could. That's like E.F. Hutton speaking. Everybody listens.
That much power Roy had, huh?
Yeah. Just when you heard, you see him in live in person, he said, I see his whole demeanor, it's just like, holy shit.
Yeah, let me ask you something. As far, and I think people in the chat will appreciate this too. As far as Roy's presence, his reputation, there's somebody on YouTube. You heard of Fat Andy Reggiano, right? Old school mobster, Fat Andy.
Yeah.
Made under Anastasia.
Yeah.
So his son is on YouTube. He was a Gambino associate. Later on, goes on to become a cooperator. I'll just tell you that. But he said something interesting. He said that because he was at the Raven Night a lot, because of course his father was close with Neil over at the Raven Night, and he said that he had been at the Raven Night a couple of times, and Roy walked in, and when he walked in, everybody that was there just stopped. And they would just kind of look at him. Does that sound truthful to you?
Yeah, she had that kind of aura. And you know something? I call him a sleeper because you never knew what he was going to do. You know, if he played poker, he had the best poker face in the whole world. Now, you got to remember something. When they wanted to take Roy out, they went to John, right? And John refused it. You know, that's very rare that you could do that, but he didn't want to do it. He says, like, you know, if I kill one of them, I got to kill them all. You know, and he's kind of like scared. He said, I don't want nothing to do with that. And it got passed down from there. But John said, no way, man. You know, and John's a tough guy, but he says, give it to somebody else.
He kind of wanted to pass the buck.
And he did. He did pass it.
Yeah. Right. Let me get some more questions. So corruption connection. This is a friend of mine, Tony from Queens. He says Gefkin's, of course, Gefkin's, which was on Flatlands, was a bar known for wise guys, and he says corrupt cops also in Canarsie. Can you tell us any of your experience hanging out at Gefkin's?
You talking about Paulie's joint, Paul Vario's place?
Paulie Vario, correct.
A couple of things would go on. You know, every week people need to cash their checks. He would cash their checks. You know, a lot of things went on there. You know, like I wasn't really there, but I like Paulie. Paulie liked me, so you know. I don't really know all the things that went on there. But I'll tell you one thing went on there one time. I forgot who was in there. I think it was Vic Musio, one of them anyhow. And
Vic Musso?
Yeah, and all of a sudden, like all these motorcycle guys walked in, you know, about 4 or 5 of them, right? And they started some bullshit, you know. And words led to words, you know, like they were gonna like shake him down. And he said, listen, I'm asking you to leave. And they didn't move. He said, okay. He walked over to the daughters. Short, small guy like me, but strong. Locked the fucking door. He said, now you can't leave.
This sounds like a Bronx Tale story, Pete. What's going on?
Yeah, but I think that's where they got it from, because he kicked the shit.
Did that really happen?
Oh, really happened, yeah. I said, God's on the street, man. Those bikers never came back again. And I believe that's where Chaz Palmieri, whoever wrote that, got that from.
Yeah, a few people have told similar stories that they think that's where he got it, or this and that.
I know that one for a fact. That's a fact. He just went to wailing on him, man. Him and a few other guys, I guess. But from what I had said, he reached behind the bar, grabbed the bat, and that was it. He says, I asked you to leave. He said, no. Now you can't leave. No,
How about this one? Foley Santa Maria. What was Castellano's demeanor during the trial? I know that you said you didn't speak to him, but was he very just quiet? Was he very mum, like he didn't say anything, or did he think?
He sat there like a statue. He let Lafroscia do all his talking. He was like one of the top lawyers, top lawyer in New York.
Right. And
his first opening statement was like, you know, when he came out, he says, Mr. Castellano has declared 11-point-something million last year in taxes. Then he looked at us, just flipped me out, and he says, why would he want to be around these guys? And, you know, that tells you a lot, you know what I mean? In other words, you need a big fat bus because he was throwing us all under the bus. But that was him. And that's kind of like a lot of reasons I really had no love for the guy. He is what he was. And that's that, you know.
Right.
True boss should have been one. The true guy that should have been there, and I believe in my heart, was Delagrosse. He should have been the head of the family. But he was, he said that, you know, he didn't want no friction amongst the crews, our crews. So he said, okay, he stepped down to be the underboss, you know. But if it had to be, if there was a vote, I guarantee he would have won.
So Doug Ross is speaking about Dominic Montiglio. He says if Nino was alive when Dominic rolled, Nino was alive when Dominic rolled. Nino died. I think Nino died in, do you remember, Pete, 87 or 88?
He was at MCC. He was at MCC with me on the 9th floor, and
He was in
locked up.
MCC with you when he died?
Yeah, yeah. What happened was the kid that was in the room next door across the way seen me, and he was banging on the door, you know, and they all started banging on the doors to get the medics to come up there. They got up there, and they got him, right? They took him out of the cell, right, in his underwear and T-shirt. They put him in the elevator. They brought him down to the 3rd floor where the medical division was. And they opened the door, and then they realized, oh, he doesn't have a uniform on, so they brought him back up. That time, that lapse between going back up to he died. That a lot of time. And I understand that his wife sued them for that, and she won, and she donated all that money to the medical facility of that place.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was there when whatever you're just saying. As a matter of fact, the last thing Dominic said to him was, "Hey Nino, Lassie came home." I'll never forget that because Nino was saying, "Lassie be home." He used to call him Lassie.
Nino used to call Dominic Lassie?
Yeah, like a pet dog, you know what I mean? So when Lissy said before he got to stand, he says, "Hey Nino, Lassie's home."
Jesus.
Testified, yeah. So
wow. So he said that.
Straight up. It should be in the transcripts, yeah.
Wow. I got to ask you about that because he probably has all the transcripts.
Basically, all of that transcript, all the stuff that I'm probably saying, it's probably in the transcripts. So
he said Lassie came home, kind of throwing it in his face.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wow, that's wild. Oof. What about Dominic, Pete? Because Dominic is I know you probably don't like him, but I do look at him as kind of fascinating. I mean, you can't take away the fact that he was in Vietnam and he did what he did, and he was talented with music. So he's a very difficult person, you know, a very interesting life. At least I find him to be extremely interesting. But what do you feel about Dominic Montiglio? What is your personal opinion? Because his legacy lives on in YouTube, you know.
Dominic to me was, I really didn't know him like that because we really didn't get along because he wanted to move up so fast at certain things. And I tell you the truth, Nino was grooming him for that. You know, he would have. But you got to remember something. He used to come down there to see Roy to collect money to bring back. And that's how Paul got indicted, you know what I mean? Because he used to bring it straight to Paul.
Right.
So when he rolled, he brought Paul right into it. But he wanted to be, how can I say, you come down and Nino had him on a pay level of, I don't know, a couple hundred a week or something, which is ridiculous. But that he was grooming for bigger and better things. I know that. And so you got to figure he's down there, he sees all the guys dressed in the GQ outfits, you know, driving top-end cars, money. You know, would expect him to want, you know what I mean? And Nino kept down, no hanging out with these guys. You do what you got to do, you come home. Apparently it didn't work so good. You know what I mean? He got involved in a lot of things that he shouldn't have gotten involved in. But, you know, that was him. He was very talented in the music field. You know what I mean? He could have won something. You know, but in the Vietnam thing, hey, all I can say, it takes balls. He served his country. God bless him.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's like a complex individual. But, of course, you know, I didn't know him personally from a criminal perspective or what he was really capable of, you know, but just looking at it from the outside, you know.
Well, Nino's his uncle, you know what I mean? So if Nino asked him to do something, you know, he grew up, Nino raised him, you know.
Yeah.
Downey's father, whatever happened between Nino and Downey's father is one thing, you know what I mean? And so Nino actually raised him. Nino and his wife Rose, they took him in and raised him. And so he kind of like lived the life without living it when he was younger, you know what I mean? And then eventually he went off to the war, he came back and, you know, instead of following his dreams in the musician field, he tagged along, you know, and he got caught up in that shit. And that's all I can say about him. Other than that, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I just think what he did was terrible, you know, to his family.
Right. Well, he refers to you as a lumberjack in Murder Machine.
Well, yeah, because I just came home. I was pretty well built.
Yeah.
And I looked like a lumberjack. I think I had a plaid shirt on.
Yeah.
I wasn't carrying an axe though, but yeah.
Brian Sack, you know, this is something we've spoken about. Brian, if you want to go back to our episodes that me and Pete done, of course, we have spoken about this kind of at length, but I'll let Pete touch on it for a minute if he wants to. Brian Sack just wants to know about your opinions. Joseph Testa was released in May. Anthony Center was released late last month. I think everybody knows your opinion, but if you want to say something, you could say something about that.
Personally, I don't think it should have been away that long. Okay, that's my personal opinion. Things they've been accused of, I told you, once they became the ultimate Gemini twins, and they just went after them like, oh hell. And you know, they served their time. They did their time like men, and they didn't say nothing, which probably couldn't say nothing about. And they're home now. They're home with their families. Their children are all grown up. It's got to be a hard feeling going away when their kids are coming back, and now they got families of their own, you know, to come out to that.
Yeah.
So, you know, in 35 years, I'm telling you, when they came out of that, they had to be very leery of everything they seen and did. It's like coming out to a new world after that, you know. Things that were there aren't there, no more buildings and places that they have nothing to have things. So, you know, I'm sure they feel uncomfortable about it, but then, you know, you got all these prosecutors and whatever you want to call them, still trying to say things about them. Why don't you give them a chance to see what they could do in life? You know what I mean? I mean, 35 years is enough to make anybody think twice about to do something wrong. I would say. And as far as they go, you know, both good family men. You know what I mean? They love their kids. They love their wives. You know what I mean? You know, and you know, I knew them was happy-go-lucky guys when I was with them. You know, we didn't do much. We didn't really hang out a lot together. I mean, they were GQ, and I was a t-shirt and dungaree type of guy. You know.
Right.
And
yeah,
I don't know what else to tell you about them guys. Maybe someday you get a chance to ask them themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think so, Pete. But shit, man.
But if you did know, Anthony had a heart of gold. I don't care what happened or who it was. If they were in the neighborhood, some old lady was short on rent or whatever, Victor, or do something to her dog, whatever. Anthony was the first one there in his pocket or whatever he could do to help them.
Right, right.
You know, he was that type of guy. You know, he'd do anything. I really mean that from my heart, guys. Who's ever listening, that's who he was. If he had it and you needed it, you got it. That's wasn't no doubt in my mind. I seen him help people that just didn't even know them. They were in the neighborhood. You know, somehow they got to come to him, and he listened to what they said, and he believed them. He gave it to me, helped them.
Somebody asked something else up here before, Pete. There's another guy on YouTube, and he wrote a book some years back, and I guess he was a mob associate back in the day. And they want to know if you have ever heard of this individual that goes by the name of Sal Polisi.
I heard of him. I think that what's his nickname? Dogs or so. I forgot.
No, you're thinking of someone else. Yeah, no, this is you're talking about Sally Dogs Lombardo. Sally Lombardo. No, we're not talking about him. This is a guy named Sal Polisi who was some kind of Colombo associate or whatever, but he was also claimed to be around Tommy DeSimone a lot, and
that's surprising.
Also some of the Gotti crews, some of that Bergen stuff, and he says a lot of things. He said he had his own social club, and the name of his social club was the Sinatra Club. He said he knew Roy DeMeo. He would sell cars or do some work with Roy, and I don't know, whatever it may be. Pete, have you ever heard of Sal Polisi?
You said that. Now there's a movie called the Sinatra Club.
There's a what?
A movie called the Sinatra Club.
It might have been based off this book that he wrote.
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah, it is.
And what do you think about that?
Well, if he bounced around with everybody, you know, a lot of guys bounce around with guys that are up there. You know what I mean? They may not be there, but they bounce around with them. You know, you're in a bar, you're in a social club, all of a sudden a guy comes over. You know, he's talking to you. I mean, that's just natural. You know what I mean? You didn't tell him to take a walk. It wasn't like something important where he came over with somebody and somebody say he's you know,
right.
He's my friend or he's our friend. It's a big difference, you know what I mean? My friend means he ain't connected. He's just my friend. If he says he's our friend, means you can basically say whatever you need to say because he's supposed to be.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me see if there's any more question here. They're asking if you're ever going to speak to Anthony and Joey, but I don't think that is a possibility, Pete, correct?
Well, you know, this is a strange world. You never know. I never thought I'd speak to Joey again. And here I am laying in a holding cell, Terre Haute, Indiana. Who comes down to town? Joey. And so who knows? You know what I mean? I could be at a supermarket, a butcher shop, and if I see them, you believe me, I'm going to say hello and give them a hug and a kiss. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm not going to ever change my feelings for them.
But on paper, I guess, Pete, on paper, legally, I guess they're not allowed to really associate with felons, right?
Correct. I don't know how long that is, but you're not supposed to. Well, if you're out there and you still got any paper on you, you can't correspond with any convicted felon. You know what I mean? If you do, and they find out, they'll you know, they're just going to take you away again. So it's not my intention to avoid them, but if it happened, like I just said, I'd be overjoyed. You know what I mean? At 35 years, I can't even imagine what we look like to each other now.
Well, yeah. Hey, you never know. Maybe you never know. I don't know. I have no way of, nor would I ever attempt to try to contact them. Pete, you know me. We spoke numerous times. I would personally never do that. I've never asked you to even attempt that.
No.
I've never been so delusional to think that one day I'm going to get a call. Yeah, I want to come on your show. But you never know if they watch these things. They're free. You never know if they saw you on my channel or whatever. It's quite possible, Pete. But the future is unwritten, I guess. Who knows what might happen later on?
Correct. I believe that.
Tony Kamaj, or I don't know if that J is silent, Tony. Forgive me. Pete, what was the easiest car to jack back then, and what was the fastest you took to take one?
So they say that it's the FBI now.
The
they
FBI
never
says.
Yeah, they said I could take a car faster than you could get it in with your key. Well, that's their opinion, So I'm not gonna disagree with them. What's easiest? A lot of people think that foreign cars were hard, right? I went to Europe and I went through the dealerships, Porsche dealership, things like that, and I watched what they do. They didn't realize, they had all these anti-locks and stuff, but the anti-lock was before it got to the actual wiring. So what you had to do, say for Porsche, everybody give you Porsche, you pull a center gauge out, pop right out. You stick your hand down in there, you unplug the ignition. And if you were a smart guy, you would have brought the ignition with yourself and you plugged it in. Now, your ignition ain't got all the anti-lock. Boom, start it right up. So easy. Let me tell you, there's a guy in California. They got to remember something. Every time they put a different anti-crime thing on a car, right? The locksmiths that did go out to help people had to know what they want. They had to have a tool to go around them. At that time, I was very friendly with this guy in California, so he used to call me up. He says, I got the new one. Boop. That was it. I mean,
yeah.
But there's so many techniques. It's unbelievable. Foreign cars, the little ones, you had a ring of keys. One of them was going to fit. I don't care what they did. They somehow made some ignitions have the same key as the other kid. They never thought, like, what the fuck? Yeah, 1,000 cars. Who's going to know that he fits? But there were certain ones, and they'd start right up.
So you said you would bring your own ignition. You would take out an existing ignition and connect your own ignition. You had your own key somehow to read through it.
It came with the ignition. When you bought the ignition, it came with a key, the tumblers, and everything. So you just plug it in. So when you plug that in, it stopped all the anti shit that was connected to the original one,
Okay.
And you start right up. But,
But when you were involved in the Empire Boulevard operation with Roy DeMeo and them, when you were involved in stealing those cars and they were shipping them over to Kuwait, there was very specific cars that they wanted. They wanted these big American cars, fabric, no leather. So let's say a Cadillac, Pete, or a Chevy Caprice, or one of these bigger cars. What were those American cars like to steal?
Simple.
Simple?
Well, simple. I say simple because I've done it. We had a junkyard when I was younger, and I used to practice on all the junk cars. It was.
Oh, really? Practice?
I got a technique down, and it was very simple. Man, at that time, you slap it out the ignition, and you take a 1/4-inch drive ratchet handle, you stick it in there, it would fit right on there, boom, start right up. But that was back then. Today, you got about go right here.
So this is a good question, Doug Ross. Love you, Pete. God bless you. Can we help Pete out with any donations anywhere? Yeah, actually, you guys can. Roro can drop my Cash App in the chat right now. Anything you guys give me, I will send right to Pete. And that Pete knows that's my word. So if anybody would like to donate via my Cash App, anything you give me now, I will send right to Pete. So if anybody wants to help, Pete's giving up his time. I don't think you're going to find, and listen, like I said before, you guys can think what you want about Murder Machine, whatever it is. Pete says it's about 50% true. When it comes to the Roy DeMeo crew, I suppose it is the, Bible for the history of the crew. There might be some other more information. Of course, I've spoke about other information that's not in this book, but you're not going to get anybody on fucking planet Earth that is in this infamous book. What does it say on this book, Pete? What does it say? The true story of murder, madness, and the mafia. The scariest book ever written on the mob. Serial killers run amok. Chainsaw Massacre. The Godfather meets the Chainsaw Massacre. So you're not going to get any motherfucker, not to call you motherfucker, Pete, but you're not going to get anybody from this book live to fucking speak to you right here on YouTube. So if you guys want to help, if you guys ever wanted to throw, Roro will drop the Cash App. You guys can give a super chat. Yeah, you guys let me know. Okay.
I want to say something.
Yeah. I know you like that little rant.
I want to get back to Veto Arena for a second. He got let go. He was free. All this shit. This guy was calling him way before he got caught, giving his phony name, right? Phony name. So when it finally came down to it, he called up. He says, "They said we don't know you." He says, "Yes, my name is so and so." And then they brought him in, and he went to. Now he gets out, right? He's out in Texas, from what I understand. And he goes to the convenience store. He's robbing this convenience store. After he gets away from all this shit, I just don't understand it. And as he's walking out, he was a freak for CDs and shit, right? And you see this case with CDs in it, right? This is a true story. And he told the guy, "I want that CD down there." When the guy went down there to get that CD, he came up what I understand was a 357 man and blew his fucking head off.
That was Veto, yeah.
I mean, that's karma for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Freddie supposedly hung himself in a witness protection program. How that happened, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
They all met crazy demises, but that what I thought about Veto, and I could just see him doing that idiot. Why would you go do anything if you got away with it? What shit? You did a lot of shit. You admitted to killing that guy, Joe Scone. You admitted it, and yet you got the fuck out. How's that work?
Yeah. No. Well, listen, with Veto, you know what it is, Pete. I mean, they wanted as much as they could give him, and they let him get away with shit. It's funny, I guess, that he lost his life trying to steal all those CDs in the CD shop, because essentially he was stealing CDs from the government too, because he was making them get them Bruce Springsteen CDs. He was making
whatever he wanted. This guy got. It was amazing. Somebody's panties from some prosecutor female. I'm telling you, these guys. Even in John's case, the prosecutor gave her panties, DA, to this fucking guy that was testifying. I don't understand it. So what the fuck kind of government you got? In other words, you're corrupt when it helps you? You know what I mean?
There was a moment in the trial too, Pete. I don't know if you were present for this, where they were asking him questions that I guess they knew that he knew the answers to this question, because they prep him and they whatever the fuck it is, because he's a witness, and he plays this whole thing where he's like, "Oh, I don't know, I don't remember. Maybe if we took a break or something, I could remember. Maybe I need a break. We'll go somewhere, and maybe I'll remember after we take a break." And so he was just kind of taking everybody for a ride, being a wise ass, asking.
Oh yeah. He wanted to show he had some good power, just when he told the jury, they're gonna make a movie, and I'm gonna be so and so and Tom Selleck. Yeah. Well, the jury couldn't help but crack it up. I mean, they cracked up when they looked at him. He looked like one of those cartoon characters with the big body and the little head. Scary looking dude.
Yeah, we'll get to that too. I want to ask you about that. I'll say hi to my friend Donna, Creative Creep. Pete, this is a follower here. She's very much interested. Her name's Donna.
Hello, Donna. Don't believe everything you hear, Don. I'm really not that bad a guy. Anyhow, I'm glad you're listening, so you can hear some of the truth versus some of what hearsay is. If I could tell the truth about some of the hearsay that Brett asked me, I'm going to tell it. And if I can't tell it, I don't know. I'm going to take the fifth, and that's sad. So keep up with us, Donna. Believe me.
I got a question here. This is actually my uncle. He grew up in East New York. He wants to know if this is true. I don't know if it's true. He says, "Can you ask Pete why Pontiacs were stolen so often in East New York in the 60s and 70s? Is that true? People like to steal Pontiacs?"
Well, yeah, they're badass cars, 67. They were easy,
They were easy.
Yeah, they were easy. They were simple back then, but Pontiacs were a bad car back then, They had the.
All right. We got $5 from Corruption Connection. We got $10 from Melissa. We got $10 from Doug Ross. Thank you so much. We got another $5 from Cortez Crawford. Let's see if there are any questions. He says, good content. Alyssa says, keep it coming. Doug Ross says, going to Cash App after the show, bro. I'll let you know. Pete's cash. Okay. Of course, man. Like I said, anything that comes to me for the show, I'll give to Pete. Cortez Crawford gave a $5 donation, Pete. He says, when DeMeo was killed, or when you found out he was murdered, Pete, what was your honest thoughts? I'll add something to this, Cortez, if you don't mind. I'm going to say, what was your feelings, Pete? And then what was your honest thoughts why he was taken out? Did you say something to yourself? Well, I knew that was coming. Can you run that down for us, Pete?
Yes. My personal opinion is Roy was considered a loose cannon. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And Paul, God rest his soul, that son of a bitch, always thought that if he got pinched, Roy would become a witness. And I know in my heart that guy wouldn't tell shit. He was so proud of what he was, and that's it. Now, I think of it this way: if Paul didn't have Roy killed, and he was still alive, it would have been a whole different story about Paul getting killed. John wouldn't have went so fast to kill. Once Roy was out of the way, he had carte blanche because he knew Roy would have been way against all of that. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, John didn't want no problem with Roy. You know what I mean? That would have been a problem if he was still alive. So Paul actually could, how can I say, induce his own demise. You know what I mean? Once he got rid of Roy, there was no way. Listen, I don't care what anybody says. Everybody thought twice when it came to Roy. Even the toughest guys. You know?
There's this whacked out story. I don't know how true it is that Freddie, Broadway Freddie, and Roy were in the midst of or discussed a plan for themselves to kill Paul.
I never heard that. They didn't want.
You never heard that?
They
talk about using motorcycles to do it or something. You ever heard of that?
That had to be Freddie. He's the only guy who was whack. You gotta remember, Freddie smoked around with papers in his pocket, saying he was a certified nut.
Oh, really?
Actually, real papers. You know, and he'd show up to the cops. I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a little crazy." I said, "God damn." First time.
Wait. Hold on a second. What Broadway Freddie didn't know me. He used to do what? He used to walk around with papers saying that he was crazy.
He was certified nut. Yes, whatever it said, it meant he. When he first got indicted, he was in prison. From what I hear, stories.
Right, he was already locked up.
He was reading the indictment, and then he just started chewing the pages up. He ate the whole indictment. Fucking shut out, man. But another time we'll talk about Freddie and some stories with the chimp and all that. Susie.
With the Susie the chimp, yeah. Hey, Pete, Margaret DeYounger. She says, "Can Pete say hello to me? I want to make it my ringtone." Her name is Margaret DeYounger.
Margaret, it'd be my pleasure. Margaret DeYounger. This is Pete Lafroscia saying hello.
She's gonna make that her ringtone, Pete. So anytime somebody calls her, they're gonna.
Oh, you might as well add the pick in there too.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
this is Pete the Pick.
As far as donations, I want to say this: I reached 75. I'm still here. I'm still working. I'm a handyman. I do a lot of things, and I never really put anything away for my retirement. So whatever I get, believe me, I appreciate. And
yeah, of course,
it.
Of course.
Maybe I'll win the lottery someday. Who knows?
Yeah. All right, let's see. What do we got? We got about 90 people here. Let's see. Somebody wants to know dark secrets of the past, para history. I'm sure you're aware Joe Bonanno wrote a book once. Did you ever read that book, or did you ever have an opinion on a mob boss writing a book?
Yes, I did. I'm very sorry to say that he wrote something in there that caused a big problem for the commission case. They never believed there was a commission. They couldn't prove it. They couldn't until he wrote in there and told them about it. And they used that book and that paragraph to indict those guys in a commission case. It was part of the evidence.
Right, exactly. They actually use that book.
You know, no matter who, I'm watching a series, right, on the, Godfather of Harlem, right?
Yeah, a lot of people say that's a lot of bullshit in there. I don't know how true that is.
I got news for you. A lot of that's right on fucking time, especially the part where they were at Coney Island, and that's where they asked Joe to leave New York.
Okay.
We were setting him up. No, Bumpy Johnson was real, and that shit was real. Trust me, he got carte blanche there because he got busted with them, and he stood up before his time, and they gave him home. So I'll tell you, I'll talk more about that another time. But
guys, somebody just said to check my cash. I'm sorry, I didn't even realize my phone died. So that's what I was doing. I was just plugging my phone in. So if anybody did send me one, I'm gonna check in a minute. I apologize. So let's look at this. Why the Gambinos? Did you pick them, or did they pick you? Well, first I want to say, and Pete will say this, Pete was not a made guy. He was an associate of many individuals, but you came mostly famously associated with Roy DeMeo, who of course became a made man. But I guess I'll let you answer that. Why the Gambinos? Did you pick them or did they pick you?
They kind of picked us, you know what I mean? We were doing cars, me and Harvey, right? And we were so good at it that the organized crime, not the organized crime, the auto squad, right? They busted,
the auto squad.
Yeah, they busted this kid one night, right? And they busted him for some kind of drug paraphernalia, and there was somebody in the car with him that knew me. So when they left, she called me up and told me that, you know, this guy just snitched on. He didn't know me really, he knew Harvey. Okay, so this guy that was on the organized the auto unit was working with Roy and them. So he went to Roy and them and told them all about how good we were. They had to give us our cars back. We couldn't do it. And that took a lot of work that I learned in Europe why they couldn't. So anyhow, that's when Roy grabbed Harvey. How? I don't know. To this day, I don't know. And he told me about this deal he was going to give him. And then they came to me. You know, they called me up. I don't know who the fuck he was. I was home watching my daughter with my cousin. And she was a little kid then. And they said, you got to come to the Gemini. I said, who's this? They says, this is Roy. I said, big fucking deal. Who's Roy? You know what I mean? I didn't give a fuck. I was a young kid. Thought I was going to roll by the balls. So he says, you got to come to the Gemini. I said, okay, listen, bro. When I'm done watching my daughter, I'll let you know. And I hung up. He called back. He says, you hung up on me? I said, listen, man, I don't know who the fuck you are, but I'm watching my daughter. I can't go nowhere. What do you want from me? And I hung up again. We were sitting on the porch, me, and my daughter was playing in the front of the yard, and my cousin was on a stoop upstairs, right? And I heard this car come screeching to a stop, and it was this Cadillac. He jumps out. Two guys jump out. One was Roy, and one was Danny Grillo.
Danny Grillo, yeah.
And they start telling me about, you know, his nephew got pinched for fucking, you know, because of the car. I already knew why he got pinched, you know. And he's telling me all about that, you know, all shit. I'm listening, right? And, you know, we're going to give you this deal, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have a shop. Don't worry about it. You know, we'll let you know when they're going to come and raid it. You're going to get raided a couple of times because that's part of the deal. And I'm saying to myself, how the fuck did these guys find me? You know, this kid didn't know me. So, you know, and then he says, he looked over at his car, right? I said, how did these guys find me? So he looked over, and there was Harvey sitting in the back of the fucking car. I said, so you're telling me now that kid ratted out, and now this kid ratted me out. Well, I thought you guys were these people that don't like rats. Why you bring two rats into my life that, you know, you supposedly all this and all that about? So I said, you know something? I'm going to tell you the truth how that car got busted. And I told him, so he says, you call me a lot. And they tried to go to work on me, right? I was a skinny little kid then, man. They drove me up against the fence. My cousin walked in, got the 12 gauge, came out and clicked that fucker. And he says, next one touches my cousin, I'm going to blow you away. And that's what Roy said, hold on. Everybody stop right now. So Roy offered me this deal, you know, you know. I'm saying, but why do I want to be around these guys? I said, you know what I mean? I'm doing great on my own, you know what I mean? I have to answer them, and who knows what they're fucking up to. So I kind of like declined it, but I went to prison for doing something else for 2 years. I came back out, and I seen Harvey, and he told me, don't go around Roy. He's pissed off. You need to come down. I said, listen, I don't want nothing to do with that shit. You know what I mean? I'm my own guy. I said, as a matter of fact, get the fuck out of here, rat. And he looked at me, what do you mean, rat? I said, how the fuck did they find me? You brought it right to my fucking door, you prick.
Yeah.
I said, what the fuck, man? What's up with that? So
yeah, and as far as
So second time I see him, you know, Harvey, he told me, don't come down here. I said, hey, fuck it, I ain't going down. Don't worry about it. I don't need my ass kicked. I said, whatever else could happen. And I went about my business. And but that's how I got involved with them. You know what I mean? I went to a wedding, my uncle's wedding, and I was sitting at the fucking buffet table, whatever you want to call it. And who comes walking in the door? I said, Roy, I said, oh shit. I said, what the fuck are you going to do now? He walks over to my uncle, they shake hands, they give each other a kiss, and I'm still looking. And he's pointing at me now and saying, can't even slide out of here. So they come walking over my uncle, and his mother said, why are you disrespecting Roy? I said, how? He says, why don't you go down there when he tells you to come down? I said, whoa, wait a minute. I says, I was told specifically by Harvey, Chris, whatever you want to call him, not to go there because you're going to kick my ass for whatever, not joining your crew in the beginning. He says, is that true? I said, yeah. He says, okay, I'll see you on Monday at 5:00. Uncle said, be there. And that's where I was there. And from that day on, I became a Bambino.
Yeah, so Roy knew your uncle.
Yeah, someone was godfather to somebody. I don't know what the fuck.
You didn't know that, so you ran into him at a wedding.
Fuck that, man. You know, I mean, just bopping in. That was a car.
Hey, Doug Ross. I'm gonna put. I don't know if Pete wants his PayPal here because then it kind of gives up his email. I don't know if he wants that out there, Doug Ross. So I'm gonna put a PayPal that's connected to an old email account of mine in the chat here. If you want to use PayPal, anybody, that is that email that I just typed in there. Yes, it's a weird email. There is a meaning to it. Don't ask me. That thing that I just typed in the chat, that Yahoo account, that's connected to my PayPal. If you wanted to do that, and it's my word, of course, my word is what you give me is going to go to Pete. I could promise you that. We have another $5 here from Cortez Crawford, kind of touching on what you said. So Murder Machine talks about Danny Grillo's gambling problem. Also, Roy joked, referring to Danny, saying, "We committed him suicide."
Yeah.
Is this true?
Well, I don't know. They found his car in the middle of the Verrazano Bridge with his wallet and jewelry in it. Now, did he jump? I don't know. Was it there? I can't tell you if he jumped. But I kind of funny feeling that he jumped some other place. But that's only my opinion, not a fact. But yeah. As far as sending anything to Brett, I trust Brett implicitly, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing this right now. If I didn't trust him not to make sure that something stupid said or something that caused a problem, I wouldn't be talking to this man. And this man has been only honest with me, and I've been as honest as I could with him, and our relationship is like that. So please don't feel funny if Brett says, because if Brett says it, it's true. If he gets something, he definitely will do what's right with it. And that's all I can say about that.
Thank you, Pete. I appreciate you saying that. And we got Roro G right here. She just sent me a $25 cash app for you, Pete. So that's a 25 spot for you right there. And then we have a Robin. He says, yeah, you can Zelle. You could Zelle me. It's going to be the same account, Uncle Robin, that I just typed in the chat. Give me 1 second, guys. Keep the questions coming. Ladies and gentlemen. Uncle Robin there. That same, I think when you use Zelle, you can use my number, Uncle Robin, or you can use, I'll type it in here again, guys. There's an old Yahoo account that I have that is still connected to my PayPal if I have to use PayPal. And I'm going to type it in the chat again. Guys, that's the email right there. Let's see, Doug Ross. Any guys you be in 70s, he's spilling his guts. Oh, yeah, this Doug Ross is saying that everybody should kick up Pete. And Pete appreciates it, and I appreciate it.
I express my appreciation. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Brett, I have an appointment at a little while, so
okay,
maybe we continue this one. I hate to cut people up that ask questions.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Do you got 5 more minutes, Pete? You have just 5 minutes?
For you, especially for my audience, yes, without a doubt. How can I deny it?
So we got 5 more minutes. We're about an hour and 10 minutes in. I apologize for the early delays. You know, if Pete likes this, Pete, if you like this question and live stream thing, you know, hopefully maybe this is something we can do soon.
I do. I'd like to take some of the prefabricated stories and turn them into real, if I know them. I don't like people believe a thing about some of us that I know is not true, and I will tell the truth. And if I tell you the truth, you can take it to the bank. You can look it up. You know, that's all I can say. I got no reason to lie to anybody. Now, I may not answer you, but I definitely would not lie to you. That's a fact.
Right. So this is the question that I think I know the answer, but this guy wants to know if you were scared of being around Joey or any of those guys. I don't know.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. No. Nah.
Creative Creep says, best move you made, hanging out with me, Pete. He says, I'm posh for a Queens boy, but I'm all right.
All right. It's my girl there.
There you go. Hey, Pete, you ever heard of a guy by the name of Anthony Raimondi?
Raimondi. I remember an Anthony Romano. Raimondi, I don't know.
Oh, Anthony Romano. That's interesting you brought that up, Pete. Maybe we'll talk about that one day.
Someday we will, yeah. Piece of shit. Yeah, I definitely talk about him.
Anthony Romano. Wow. Interesting.
Like I said, you know, if I could write a book about all the people I met and actually talk to, not just walk by them, it would be the who but who's. You know, it's when I think about that, it's kind of even crazy for me. You know, I mean, I met them all. I met all 5 bosses just about. I met peeps that connection. I met them all. Now, I'm not saying I met them in the street. A lot of it was in the holding cell when we all the trials were on at one time. You got to remember our trial, the Castellano, the pizza case, the commission case. So we were all stuck in them goddamn holding cells waiting to get into court. That was the who was.
Yeah.
Said, wow.
Yeah, you guys were all in the mid 80s. You guys were all in there.
All at one time. It's a Big Bang series. I said, holy shit. You know, I'm a happy-go-lucky guy, and I got to talk to all of them, got to meet them. It was like somebody that wants to meet somebody, a Hollywood star, you know.
Right.
That's I was young enough then. And they all looked like, wow, I gotta say hello to them or something, you know. And after a while, hey Pete, want something to eat or whatever? We had more.
No, you know him. That's Pete. You know his dad. You know Pete.
TT, yes, I do. Oh yeah, I love John Belushi. I'm not even gonna go there with him. His brother's still around.
You do have a John Belushi story.
Oh,
I know you got to go, Pete. I appreciate everybody that hung out. I'll hang out for a couple more minutes after Pete leaves. Pete, I hope we can do this again. I know we'll do some of those pre-records again, but I hope we can do more of these live streams, Pete. I think everyone enjoys this. We have about 90 people in here right now. Thank you for everybody that donated. We appreciate that, of course.
Yes.
And all the great questions. And Pete, you have anything you want to say?
God bless you all. I really appreciate whatever he's doing. And like I said, if you need a handyman, call Brett. He get in touch with me.
Yeah.
I can fix anything. And yeah, what to say? Yes. Next time I talk to you, I'll tell you a couple funny stories about Roy. Not only the bad things, some of the funny ones that people crack up at.
Yeah, that's what people want to hear. We want to hear the Roy stories for sure.
That's so for you.
Yeah.
So like all right. Well, I love you. Good night. I'll see you again soon. We'll talk to you again soon. With all my respect and love, Pete.
Okay, Pete. Thank you so much, brother.
My pleasure, Brett.
I'll hit you up tomorrow, Pete, okay? We got another $5 from Doug Ross. Canada. You take Canada money, Pete?
I love Canada.
Yeah, Canada.
I love Canada. I used to live on Lake Ontario. I used to take my boat at my father's boat.
Oh, is that right? Lake Ontario. Wow.
I used to take it right. It was in Watertown. I used to right across to Canada. Boy, that place was bars. There was a block maybe with 10 bars on it. They love bars. I love Canadians.
No, that's awesome. All right. Well, listen, Pete, thank you so much again. I'm glad we finally got to do this. I'll talk to you soon. I'm going to lower you off the screen, and then you can get Danielle to help you out.
All right.
And I'll talk to you soon, Peter. All right? Take care, buddy.
I want to tell you something.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I am terrible with technology. Trust me. I don't know PayPal. I don't know none of that stuff. Every time I do something, it goes where it's not supposed to go. So, Brett, be more than glad to take care of it for me. And I thank you all from the bottom of my heart again.
Yep.
Good night, everybody.
All right, Pete. We'll talk to you soon, okay? I'll call you tomorrow, man.
Yeah, you got it.
All right.
Soon sheriff it down.
Hey, cowgirl. Oh, boy. Sorry.
Hey.
Veto boy.
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you go.
Good night, Brett.
All right. Good night. All right, guys. Well, that was the first time we had Pete on for a live stream. Hold on. Let me remove him there. So I hope you guys like that. I mean, listen, I apologize very much that we were about 15 or so minutes late. A little bit issues with the tech, a couple of tech issues, but you know what? I think that worked out all right, guys. You guys, some of you guys, I'm sorry if I missed some of your questions. I apologize, but I think everybody kind of enjoyed that. You know, hopefully I asked him some of your questions. Yeah, hit the like button, please, everybody. Cheers to you too. KI33AA3. I'm sure that means something. I'm not making it out right. Joey Frakes, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Corruption Connection, thank you. Go check out Corruption Connection's channel. We did a collaboration. It would be his last video. that is on his channel. That's with me and him. Margaret, Swish Rips, Creative Creep, Doug Ross, salute. Brett, fucking amazing. Brett, Pete, I believe, is as honest as can be. Yeah, no, he is honest for sure. Scott H, thank you. Listen, when he can be. Of course, you guys know there's things he can't talk about. Here's Johnny. Hey, good night, buddy. I appreciate you hanging out. Kiki from Chicago. I loved it. Great job. Much better than on the channels. Pete is a good guy. Thank you so much. Another 10 from Doug Ross. Thank you so much, Doug. Thank you so much, man. Oh, that one's for me. Thank you, man. I appreciate that so much. Much appreciated. Thank you. Pete, he looked comfortable. Yeah, he did look comfortable. He looked good. You know, hold on, let me get to your Pete. Yeah, he says you look comfortable. Yeah. I think he was comfortable. Pete is a riot. Thanks, Brett. It's cool you were pals. Yeah, I think it's cool too. Sometimes I you know, weird. Kind of weird, but yeah, I'm glad that we were friends. I'm glad that I can call him and speak to him, and now he could come on and do a live stream, and we can do those pre-records and everything else. Great stream. Hey, thank you, Oscar Madison. Much appreciated. If anybody else wants to say anything, I'll hang out for a minute, then I got to go. This is my second live stream I did today. I was on early this morning. I want to say thank you to Corruption Connection for the 5. Thank you, Alyssa, to the 10. Doug Ross for the 10. Cortez Crawford, another Cortez Crawford 5 times each time. Doug Ross with the 5, and then Doug Ross with another 10. Roro, I want to say thank you for the 25 Cash App for Pete. Yeah, guys. To accept as an HCP. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. It means a lot that, you guys showed up. I'm happy that there was like 90-something people here. Right now, still 85. Makes me feel good. That we had at least that many people, let's see. Before this channel, there was barely anything about DeMeo when I used to look years ago. Then this channel, hey man, that means a lot. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I think me, Quentin Walker at The Darkness Underneath. I have also spoken about many things, and I've done many stories and talked about many things that might not have been out there at some point. Yeah. And you guys know how much I'm into the story. I love you too, Uncle Robin. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I just got that Zelle from you too. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. Oscar Madison, thank you. Tony H with the 1999. My man, thank you so much, Tony. That is very much appreciated. Like I said, that's going to get sent over to Mr. Lafroscia. Does Pete have any memorabilia he like to sell? Yeah, that's interesting, Tony. I've spoken to Pete about that before. There is a couple of ideas. I've had a couple of ideas of things to do. And if that's something you guys are interested in, I have some ideas. There's like some artwork that I have done and some other things. Maybe we can do some prints, we can do some original artwork with Pete, and he could like sign it or something. Maybe we can do something like that. Like the artwork that you see on the thumbnail was kind of like an idea that I had to do maybe like a print or something. So this is like, I'll just pull it up here. This is like this is like a thing that I kind of put together of Pete. You have like the Gemini. Hold on, guys. Well, if you look at the thumbnail, you have like the Gemini Lounge in the background. Hold on. Let me make my screen brighter too. That might help. Yeah, so you have like the Gemini Lounge in the background. You have all this like hits of blue, and then you have him in front of the car, the mugshot. You can't really make it out. Whatever. You can make it out much better on the thumbnail of the video. Let me try one more time. Fuck it. You guys can make it out a lot clearer on the thumbnail of the video. There is some color in there. There's some like what do you call, like mirroring of the image in different layers. There's the Gemini Lounge. There's Pete's mugshot. There's Pete at the bottom in front of his car. So there's a lot of things we can do. We can do some artwork. We can do some sign stuff. if you guys are interested in stuff like that, yeah, I mean, of course, we could get into that. I'll do anything, that I can to help Pete out. I hope you guys know that, whether that's trying to put a couple of bucks in his pocket or trying to help him get out here and tell his story. Oh yeah, we can do shirts. I can put that up as a shirt. Actually, I can put that up as a shirt on my Shopify anytime I want. If you guys are interested in that, I can make that available. Shopify's tough. Wouldn't make too much on those guys. Like with those mugs that I sell on Shopify, I think I make like $2 on a mug or $2.50 per mug. I might have sold like 10 of them maybe. Because it's a company that does all the work and I'm just like creating the designs. So it's tough to make money that way. I'd have to maybe do it locally, maybe get them made locally. I don't know. We'll see. Yes, Roro. Yes, he is going to sign that book once I go see him. He's going to sign that book for sure. Doug Ross. My nickname was Roscoe P. Coltrane. Yes, it was Roscoe. I had 3 first names, really. Douglas Kirk, Ross, Irish Scott. Boy, that's funny. Yeah, so if you guys are into that stuff, if anybody wants to email me and you want to talk to me about anything, my email is nyccrimespot@gmail.com. You guys can hit me up there. Gunsmoke the Don, what's up, man? Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate that. Gunsmoke just had his 3-year anniversary. Go check him out. Swish Rip says autograph Ferrari Pete photos. Yeah, that would be cool in front of the Ferrari. Yeah, if you guys are really interested in that stuff, we can come out with stuff. We can come up with stuff, but I like artsy stuff. We can come up with some original art. We can make like some cool art prints, and maybe with him with the sign, he could sign them. Something cool, guys. Not something like something original. You know what I'm saying? Darren Cassidy, Pete should do his own book. Yes, I agree. Maybe I could help him with that. What do you guys think? Oof, it is hot. I turn the AC off when I do these because I feel like you guys might hear it. So I sweat my fucking ass off over here. Anyway, guys, Swish Rip says do it. Yeah, I think I'll do it. Yeah, I got to talk to Pete. We'll talk. We'll see what we can do for Pete. We'll see how we can figure this out. Do a limited edition T-shirt printing. Yeah, that's the way I think I got to do it, guys. I'm going to have to source it locally. Make it real, control the quality, physically have my hand in everything, control the way it comes out, control the way it looks, and then maybe physically mail these things to everybody from me. This way there's some quality control, and I think there's a couple of more, probably a couple more bucks to be made in that way. But a good way to get started to fund something like that is something I can easily do is I can get some art prints made and I could have Pete sign them and we can send those out, for a price, nothing crazy, nothing crazy. I'm not trying to charge you $100. It wouldn't be anything crazy, guys. It wouldn't be anything crazy, just enough to like make back what it costs and to put some money in Pete's pocket. Basically that's what it is. Pete needs it, man. I know what it's like getting old and fuck, you go through a lot and it all sucks. Health shit comes too. We get old if we're lucky having money. Yeah. If we're lucky, we'll all get old. If we're lucky, we'll get to 75 years old like Pete is. And yeah, I'm happy he's still here, That sounds rad. Do a community poll to get an idea. Yeah, for sure. Turn on the AC. Let's see if we can hear it. It's deja vu to OG Mike. Oh, is that what happened with OG? Well, I'm going to hop off in a minute. So, Oh, I don't know if it would be Pete's artwork. I haven't known Pete to be an artist, but it would be probably something that I would design. And basically what would happen would be we can have Pete sign it or whatever it may be. I'm trying to see if I have the item here. What I can do for you guys really quick, if you don't mind, I can do this real quick. Hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on a second, people. Once again, if you guys want to email me, my email is nyccrimespot@gmail.com. I'm pretty good with emails. I'm pretty good with getting back to people. I'm not one of these people that you email and you won't hear from me. I believe in conversing with people. Might not be the same day, might be 2 days or 3 days later, but I will answer your email. I'm very good with answering your guys' comments and liking them. If I don't answer them or whatever, I'll at least acknowledge that they're there. I'll give them a like or I'll give them a heart. So yeah, you guys feel free to email me if you have any questions or anything like that. We could talk about stuff, you know? So this is the thing that I had just made when I started doing these shows with Pete. I started trying to come up with like some artwork for the thumbnails. I actually did artwork, guys, for a complete Roy DeMeo zine. You guys know what a zine is? Like a homemade book for a complete Roy DeMeo book. And some people have seen like this 50-page. That's what I was going to release, but I came into some issues where I had to fund other things that were going on in my life, and that book project had to be put on the back burner. But I completed all of the artwork for this little Roy DeMeo book that I was going to come out with. And what the book was, that I still want to come out with. And what the book is, it was like 50 pages of different imagery having to do with the crew, which included like news articles, FBI article stuff, writing some FBI files, might have rare photos. It might be like an assemblage of news articles and things mentioning certain homicides that occurred that these guys may or may have not have been involved in. And all the artwork is done for that. I just have to, I guess what you could say, get my shit together. Maybe I could show you guys some of that too. And if you guys are interested in a book like that, that's something that I actually spoke to Pete already about a while ago. I said, Pete, I want to make this book and I want you to be a part of it. And I want maybe to get maybe like a print or something to have you involved from a memorabilia standpoint. And the print that I wanted to do is the one that I'm talking about, which is this right here. Let me get rid of the comment. Brett, is it green behind you or are your plants there? Hold on one second. I'll answer that question. I got to look at what's going on behind me. So yeah, so this is like the art that I made for these thumbnails that I do with the pick episodes. Yeah, so I thought that was cool. I wanted to make a print of that, and we could work something out with Pete, with him like signing like a print that would come with a book. If I end up publishing this book, self-publishing it. Plant behind me. So there's a snake plant behind me right here. That's a real snake plant. I don't know what else you're talking about. And that's a patio behind me with my lights. And I do have a green wall that I put up there, like a green wall thingy. No, that's not a green screen. No, that's all real. Yeah, no, that's real. That's real. That's not a green screen. You see? That's all real, baby. I want that book. Thank you so much, Andy Pinehurst. Yeah, I did a lot of artwork for it, guys. It's all done. It's fucking. I even talked to the publishing company that was gonna have it. That was gonna be able to print it for me for a pretty good price too. For example, like this would be a page in a book. Like this would be one of the pages. You son of a bitch. Fucking bitch. It's not going to work. It's too much of a reflection. But yeah, I have a lot of artwork and a lot of things that I had set up for it. Let me see. Let me see. Being that I started talking about this, you guys got me wanting to show you some of the stuff that I made, some of this artwork. Vinny Boombots, my man, you are late. You son of a bitch. You are late. What happened? What happened to you? Well, watch it back. Watch it back. Please, if you got time, watch it back. That would be cool. Andy Pinehurst wants some merch. Yeah. Vinny Boombots. I was actually talking about. Actually, guys, Vinny Boombots donated some artwork that I'm going to use when I finally do that book thing. So that's going to be cool too. We're going to do that. They were asking me about Pete memorabilia or anything from Pete, Vinny. And I told them that, yeah, I had the idea for that book and I wanted to do something with Pete in reference to, that book, like a print or something to be available with it. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, what I'm going to do real quick is I am going to, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to bore you, but I'm going to pull up a couple of images from this stuff, and I'm not going to pull them up all because at some point I am going to release this self-published book, and I just want to show you guys some of the art so you guys can get it. And it's going to be like a panoramic. It's going to be like long, like 9 by 7, 9 by 6, whatever the fucking those dimensions are for the panoramic books. And that will be released and published by me, well, by the company that I have. And yeah, but it's all going to be art that's put together and assembled and made by yours truly. And I'm going to send you like 3 examples of what this thing is going to look like. And there's a lot of cool shit. Creative Creep says finally. Yeah. With me, everything fucking takes forever. Believe me, guys, because I have so many fucking things going on in my life. And it's a reason why I thought I was going to stop doing this channel at some point. Because of a lot of things were going on. And I was like, you know what? Fuck all this shit. And sometimes this is not as always as rewarding as you might think it may be. David Lopez, I definitely enjoy hearing about the DeMeo crew. It'd be interesting to hear from the Gemini twins, but as you know, they will never talk. I really don't believe so. I could use the doghouse. I'm always in. I could use one, Doug. I'm always in the doghouse. I don't think I know what that's a reference to. But let me just get a couple of these photos in just so you guys. And this would be an example only of like, I don't know, 4 pages of potentially 50 plus pages that I have already designed in reference to this potential publication. Let me see here. Alrighty. So we're going to get rid of this. And then I'm going to get going, but I really want to show you guys this. Let me just look at the comments real quick. I love that artwork. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Finally worked. So like I said, guys, I have about 50 to 60. I used to do a lot of artwork, graffiti. I used to also do a lot of collage artwork. I was very much into that. So that's the idea behind this. It's almost like in that mold of creating artwork and collage work and putting information and weird things together. So I'm kind of trying to bring a new element also into what can be possible when we speak about, because I come out of like being into art and being into graffiti, and what people would do in that subculture is that they would publish their own books called zines, Z-I-N-E. People would make their own zines, these homemade art books where they would put art together, collages, and they would self-publish them. Some of them very homemade, stapled together. Some of them published, not like high end, but, published enough to make it look nice or whatever. So let me show you guys an example of what some of these things would look like. So let's see. I'm going to add 3 items to the stage here so you can see them. And then you guys tell me if this is something that you think would be interesting. And then I promise I'll leave after that. I promise. If release yours before, well, mine. If release yours for Quentin, I'm going to backhand him with Murder Machine. Jokes aside, looking forward to both of you. Both have fun set aside. Yeah, so mine is already done. Quentin's is not, but mine is also not a deep investigatory work and true like journalism and all this other stuff. It's more coming from the art world and the homemade publishing angle, kind of telling a story with imagery, so to speak. So like something like this. So this is a page that I designed for the book. This is from the FBI files. This is an FBI file page talking about the murders of Charles Mongatori and Daniel Scudero. Here you have an image of Daniel Scudero, and here you have an original news article which talks about these two individuals being found murdered, quote, mob style, of course, before they knew who was responsible for this murder. So you have this assemblage of imagery. Picture of Scudero, original news article mentioning the death. Then later on, you have the FBI files that came on mentioning the deaths. Then you have something like this, where the bodies were buried. So here we have original photographs collaged together of the Fountain Avenue dump. You have seagulls over the Fountain Avenue dump. You have these oil whatever workers in the Fountain Avenue dump. You have City Councilman Walter Ward points to the Fountain Avenue dump. Then you have an original cartoon from an old newspaper talking about the old Fountain Avenue dump. So you have like this whole kind of collage work put together, putting these scenes and these things together in an interesting and fun kind of way, kind of in a way that I've never seen anybody do, that has a channel kind of putting crime into a, I hesitate to say like art, but I think you guys kind of know what I mean when I say art kind of way. I have one more which I'm going to show you guys that's going to come up. And then so here we have another one. We have an early mug shot of Nino Gaggi from 1954. We have an article which talks about him being arrested back in the 50s for a stolen car operation. And then right here, we have Nino Gaggi's entire criminal record dating back from 1952 to 1981. So you guys can read his criminal record. You could see an old mugshot, a picture of him. You could see an old news article. So that's kind of where I'm going with this, guys. What do you think about things like this? You got a bitchin' thing going on, G. Copyright everything. Excellent. You're on to something original, Brett. Good. Do a pre-order. Man, with your talks and you brought camera for stills, it'd be great. Thank you. Yeah, those are very cool, Brett. Yeah, and keep in mind, I have about 50 of those. I took time to do like 50 of those fucking things. You know, assembling photos and language from FBI archives and newspaper archives and all types of crazy shit that I've put together in this neat little way. So that is what has to come next. I already spoke to the publishing company a while back about it. I kind of know what it would cost. And honestly, it's not that much. And this is kind of a cover that I was debating doing for it. This is on the fence. He said that would be something he would be interested in being a part of. And so, yeah. It's all about putting things together, collaging things together, different elements together. FBI stuff, newspaper stuff, maybe a cartoon from a newspaper, mug shots, maybe some rare photos that I haven't shown before. You know, all types of stuff. Sorry, I took myself off the screen by accident and I forgot to put myself back. So that's just something we're going to be working on. I'm going to get going. Listen, I appreciate everybody. I'm sorry that I disappeared. I was talking too, and you guys, I'm fucking tired, guys. I did a live stream this morning at 10. I was up the night before pretty late. I'm fucking shot. You guys could probably tell I'm falling asleep. But listen, I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream tonight. I hope you got something out of it. Pete's going to be back soon. Keep an eye out. If you guys have anything to say, send me an email, nyccrimespot@gmail.com. If you guys like that artwork that you just saw, you want me to see me move on and with this, getting this book published and releasing it, there'll be maybe different editions of it, maybe a regular edition and then another edition with like a signed, something from Pete signed. And I have other ideas that I thought of adding in there too. Other ideas, which I'll talk about later, different memorabilia, different things that I could add to this book. I have a lot of funny ideas. So there'll be like maybe a price tier. Maybe there'll be like a $35 book option. And then maybe like signed photo with Pete is like a $50 option. You know, plenty of things we can do with this. Gunsmoke the Don, DV Boy, what's going on? Pete, yes, I like graffiti shit with original photos installed inside, you know. Yeah, and Vinny Boombots, who I mentioned before, also did some artwork for the book, which I won't show because when we come out with it, you guys will see some of the artwork he did for it. He's going to be a part of the project as well. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to get going. I appreciate everybody hanging out. I appreciate everybody that threw out a few bucks. Thank you to all of yous. You know who you are. I mentioned everybody before. Everybody have a beautiful night. Tomorrow's Monday. If you got to go back to work, you know what? Have a good day at work and don't try to get a case of the Mondays. I know how it feels. Nobody wants to go back to work on Monday. BX wants a Patrick Bet David signed book.
I want to get into something really important right now. So there is this guy in my chat right now. This guy, his name is BX, and he says that he wants to buy a signed copy of a book by me because he likes to watch the valuetainment. Really, so pull up that clip right there. Do me a favor and pull up that clip of this guy. He says that he wants to buy a copy of my book, which talks about when I had Philip Leonetti on my show. And he's talking about, all right, I'm going to stop. If that doesn't mean anything to some of you in the chat, the people that are laughing, it means something. I attempt, I guess, I hear the Patrick Bet David impersonation that I do is good. So I do this Patrick Bet David impersonation. And I think it's fucking BX that always comes in starting trouble with that shit. He's always like, PBD. He's always fucking getting me to do it. BX and somebody else is always trying to get me to do the Patrick Bet David impersonation. There is this guy right here in the chat. This name is Vinny Boombats. He says that he wants to be involved with the book that is coming out for the Roy DeMeos. And you know, I'm really curious to know, how did you get started with that? Scott H, my man. There he is. Scott H is a good guy too. He's a good guy too. PBD boy. Having allergies helps with that one. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Or maybe all the years I spent smoking where I could do all these like deep, really voices like that, you know? Listen, I'm going to go. Doug Ross, best ever walk-in talks. Oh, that means a lot. That means a lot. You know what? I think I do the best fucking walk-in talks too, now that you mention it. I'm just kidding. But I think I do. Yeah, the Philip Leonetti, that guy is a rat. Do Vlad TV. I haven't tried Vlad. Only is like, okay. Something like that. Okay. I'm working on my Michael Francis. I'm going to try to do Francis soon. I'm working on that one. We'll see how far I get with that one. I'm working on it. I'm going to get it down. Sammy, we never extorted anybody. Listen, you want to buy the wine. You guys, I don't know. I'm working on it. I'm working on it, Bo. I'm getting it down, Bo. I said I was leaving like 20 times, but you guys keep reminding me of things. So hold on one second. Hold on 1 second, Bo. Give me 1 second, Bo. Oh, I do a Pete impersonation too. That's right. I do a Pete impersonation. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. But I do have something for you guys real quick before I go. I think. It could be that I don't, though, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have it. I did have that, that disgusting video that I have of Sammy licking a pumpkin spice latte. I don't think I have it. But listen, guys, I'm tired. Anthony Cabik or Cabish. We'll keep it Cabik for now. Thank you, buddy. I am gonna bounce though. BX, Joey Frakes, Gunsmoke the Don, Scott H, Doug Ross, Roro G, the great Roro G. Thank you so much. Everybody have a good night. Thank you, Doug Ross. Great chat here too, Brett. Oh no, don't. He's slime. Yeah, no. It was making fun of him, actually. It wasn't like making him, in a good light. It wasn't making him in a good light, Bo. Okay, Bo. All right, Doug Ross, Vinny Boombots. Have a good night, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Awesome.